Welcome back to the grim darkness of the 41st millennium. I'm Inquisitor Temperance Prize, keeper of the Inquisition's Black Library, and this is my report on the Valentyne Heresy, an actual play podcast set in the Genesis adaptation of Warhammer 40,000's Dark Heresy RPG. This report features Game Master Tom McGee and players Ryan LaPlante as Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne, Tyler Hewitt as Attikus Viz, Del Borovic as Morgan Rolls, and Josh Halbot as Gideon Vega. My report shows that the Inquisitorial band have been provided with a path to Terra. Valentyne got the information they needed from Trin Rakai. Attikus was shocked to learn the real history of the Imperium. Morgan was relieved and disturbed to learn Eli is alive. And Gideon was overwhelmed by his new life as an agent. Can these heroes find a way off this demon world and save the Emperor? Find out next in this episode of the Valentyne Heresy.
From a list of missing planets. The planet Triox is one of several that we have lost all contact with. It is our studied opinion that perhaps it has, shall we say, absconded into space we can no longer activate. Best to consider the planet as well as all of its structures lost. You've got your motorcycles, you've got answers from Trin Rakai, you've unmasked the Cabal, you now have a hit list of people throughout the Imperium you got to kill. Unfortunately, time is out of joint here, and a lot of those schemes are probably advancing faster, particularly with the loss of Trin and Greybridge. You've also observed in your visions, Valentyne, that things change. Mm-hmm. So you're not sure what other allies may have been brought in, what other things may have shifted, but as long as the visions plague you, there is a non-zero chance that our beloved Emperor might die. You've just handed a comm bead over to Gideon. I assume a quick installation from Morgan probably to just kind of help get in. You can cauterize the wound easily enough because you've got pyromancy, Gideon. You, of course, observed the woman nodding at you, but she has since disappeared. There's too much shooting and burning for her to stay very long these days. Is there anything else you want to do at the ruins of the Cloud Palace before you move on?
It feels like we've kind of done everything that we need to do here. We've got tracks to follow. We're just kind of working up the food chain here on this fine planet we've discovered. It's going, and then he would just check in with Morgan over comms during the ride. Mm-hmm. Sure. Kind of in transit as things are happening.
But before they would leave, I think Morgan would check in with Gideon and just say, are you all right to drive this on your own?
I think so. This does not seem terribly complicated. I can try.
Very good. If you need anything, you can reach myself or any of us over the comms.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And she gives him a little shoulder pat and you're doing very well.
And he looks like a little sheepish, but he's like, thank you. I'm trying.
Yeah. Attikus gives you, with his human hand, a little punch in the arm.
Yeah. She'll just keep doing what you're doing.
I think Gideon is like obviously appreciating the friendly sort of nature and especially of Attikus and Morgan, but I there's still got to be like that 1,000-yard stare kind of like you can tell you're like he's masking some things that are not.
Yeah.
And I think especially because like the psyker powers I think are something he's not even like reconciling right now. He's learning so much information, and then in moments that he has to like have a moment of like internal dialogue, I think that's the only thing that are really like eating up his mental power of like what this means, what this looks like, what he has to hide, what he has to use, and then also like the tantalizing nature of these things too. I think most psyker powers and warp influence kind of provides. So I think there must be, especially learning this sort of like nihilistic environment and all that information just given to him, and that this one thing that now exists within him is sort of something that he has a little bit of control over. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure that must be kind of tantalizing. But yeah, I think those little moments that take him out and kind of force eye contact with somebody else who's not Valentyne, who's not like actively terrifying him, is nice, and I think he appreciates kind of being shaken out of that for a second.
Great, yeah, and Morgan is trying to appreciate that, and also toe the line of wanting to touch base with him, wanting to be like the door is open, but not wanting to push him to the point where he's going to get skittish or think that it's too heavy-handed. So she's just trying to be a little gentle and pleasant and leave that door open, and then she's going to let him be on his bike alone and then get onto hers.
Yeah, and for Attikus's part, he again observes the social strata thing that he doesn't fully understand, but it kind of feels like rank. So leaning a little bit on the Greybridge celebrity piece, but also he's seen enough green people in units just get fucking meat ground from being this skittish and this kind of uncertain. So it's like, friendly punch in the arm to you, but like when his eyes meet yours, Morgan, it's very clearly like, this guy's gonna get killed, kind of a thing. Before he goes over and joins Valentyne on his bike.
Yeah, and Morgan will peel out and also have Toby up in the air and scouting out ahead. Now I can finally get eyes higher up so I can see more of where we're going.
Yeah, but Valentyne both has a passenger and is not as agile as his fellows, so he'll let them kind of outride a little bit and then follow the path of least resistance. He's not trying to race or anything. He's just trying to keep up.
Sure. And Gideon, you spent a bit of strain to cast stuff. Do you want to roll to recover?
Yes.
It's a 0 difficulty discipline check.
Fun. We can try that.
Oh, I have to do the same. I spent strain.
Ho, ho, ho.
All right, I recover. I could recover up to 4 strain, but I only spent 2, so
Nice.
I'm back.
La-dee-da.
Valentine's well rested.
That sucked. I only recovered 2.
There you go.
That's what you get
2
back.
successes?
2 successes, but I get 2 successes and 2 advantage. Can you use those advantages to recover more strain?
That's a great question.
I feel like that feels wrong here.
Yeah, that seems kind of weird, right?
Yeah. But no, you know what? If it was any other check, you'd be able to. So, yeah, I'd say take it. You're going to be burning a lot of strain to use stuff.
Yeah.
And I think particularly I want to be generous.
I was going to say, if I got a pitch for you narratively.
Sure.
Those advantage can be spent while we are here in the warp, but if we move out of the warp into a more human realm, then it's just successes.
Yeah, okay, sure. I like that.
And it's like,
There's
it's
more
extra
power
spicy here,
yeah.
but there's normally a more regular check that's a little more limited.
Okay, I like that. Yeah. You're drinking straight from the tap here.
Yeah.
No. Psycho powers.
Get that fluoride.
Yeah. Okay, great. So you all mount up on your vehicles and take off through the wreckage of Greybridge. There are, again, like scenes of chaos and bloodshed along the way. I think with the ticking clock, you're probably less inclined to stop at every...
We got to get to town.
Yeah.
Like Valentyne would be raiding to just be like, continue.
Yeah. So you're making your way through wreckage. And again, occasionally there's people pleading with you and sort of chasing you. Occasionally there's people screaming and running after you with like hand axes. All the usual kind of castaway shipwreck kind of stuff. That said, Toby, can you, Morgan, roll me? This is Toby acting autonomously, correct?
No, now that if Toby's fixed and we're not being we're not being signal jammed anymore, then I can just control Toby as is.
Okay, great. So let's roll perception then, please.
Do you want me to roll it as Morgan?
Well, that's exactly what I'm
Toby?
asking. So
if it's Toby looking, then I think we've had you roll using Toby's stats previously for Toby skins.
Which is why I'm asking if he's autonomous or not. So.
Oh, yeah, because I don't think I'm sending him far enough out that he's away from my field of vision. Mm-hmm. So we could use my stats then.
Sure, that's fine.
Okay.
Go for that then.
And difficulty?
Difficulty of 4, please.
Ooh.
Okay. Anything else? Just leave it as is?
I'm going to give you a boost, and I can't tell you why.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a setback for all the rubble.
All right. And I'll just see what Toby sees. 4 successes and 1 threat.
Nice.
Seems appropriate for this. As you're making your way through the wreckage, again, kind of that like only vehicle amongst a lot of sort of almost refugees at this point, kind of trying to figure out what to do. Morgan, you're using your split vision.
Yes.
You're seeing what's in front of you as you navigate the bike. You guys aren't going tremendously fast because you're having to pick your way through stuff. But in the distance, you / Toby see a blindingly white figure. There's the sort of awful light of this place is shining off the sort of somewhat dirtied but still bright armor of Forced Pollard amongst the wreckage. He's on his back. His chest is caved in from a certain punchy boy. But he is alive and kind of like struggling. You can see him doing the sort of like trying to almost crab walk with his arms to move. And he seems to be yelling something.
Great. As soon as Morgan sees that, the cold chill goes through her body, but she'll radio just to Valentyne and say, I've spotted Forrest Pollard up ahead. He is still in his armor, alive but crawling.
Interesting. Can you find a vantage point on him from a safe distance?
Is there anything? Is it flat out here, or is
no?
it...
It's a bunch of rubble. So
Okay.
like you could probably. I mean, it's not. Well, there's probably some high-ish bits from mansions and shit that have fallen. There's also just chunks of the planet that have landed. So yeah, we could say you could get a vantage point from a bit of a ways away.
Yeah. So I will get over there, and she'll pull around and then get up to a vantage point.
Valentyne, would your goal be to go with Morgan, or are you just letting Morgan do reconnaissance?
Valentyne, his ultimate plan, and he'd probably radio this to everybody, is if he is down, I don't believe he's doing that performatively. Odds are he is injured. I'm interested to know what he is yelling, and I'm interested to know what else we can possibly learn. At the same time, he is a space marine, and I am not here for any of us to be injured. Morgan, you're going to be Overwatch. We, 3, can approach. Between the power fist, the plasma gun, and my power sword... If this is some ruse, we are as prepared as we can possibly be. At the same time, we need a word. Bellerophon. If you hear that word, Morgan, open fire. If you hear that word, Gideon, as we close in, get to your bike, drive away. Our whole goal is to escape. Attikus will ride with you. You're a better driver than I am. Let's make an approach. Let's be cautious. Morgan, let us know when you're in position.
Attikus taps you on the shoulder.
No, yes.
You guys have done enough military sign to each other that basically signs to you like down, like if he's down, you say Bellerophon, punch. Like, do I start basically? Do I start punching when you give that?
Valentyne would nod to that. The plan would be, he would just take a side angle so that if we're approaching Forrest Pollard, it's not from the same angle Morgan is shooting from.
You're not going to do the movie thing where you're looking through the scope and it's like, oh no, we're friends.
He trusts a locked-in Morgan to be able to fire the moment she hears Bellerophon, and then while she's reloading, that would be the point the fist is connecting.
That makes sense.
And Gideon's just getting clear because Valentyne does not trust Gideon with a plasma gun to fire into a combat where anybody else is involved.
No. On that note, any reaction from you on the fact that he has a plasma gun?
It's been found. It's not a level of expertise that Valentyne has used. I think he would probably calm over now. It's not been worth discussing before.
There's enough of a drive, so you can say that this happened.
We'll imagine it as being yelled, but not for the sake of the podcast. Do you have experience with a plasma gun? I see you found one.
Not specifically, no, but it feels normal. I've taken marksmanship courses and things like that. I think I did okay.
I'm sure you have. While you're carrying it, we are going to be moving in, getting off these bikes and moving in on a Space Marine. I expect you to be actively on target with that. When the conversation begins, if you hear Bellerophon, run. You do not need to fire. We may change that once we're both on bikes and away. But you are the advance cover before we hand it over to the other professionals.
Sure.
Excellent. I trust you, Mr. Vega.
He goes to say it back, but then he just kind of goes, okay.
Amazing. All right. So, Morgan, you get into position and you sort of scope out.
Yeah. She's going to be doing full lay down scope on top of this rubble, and Toby will be way up high in the sky watching, so she can watch from the scope, but she can also watch herself and where their bikes are positioned from Toby from up top.
Yeah, gotcha.
And then she will come over to Gideon just because it's like she's trying to make sure this boy doesn't get too spooked. And she's like, Don't worry, Lord Vega. I have eyes on you from behind.
And you're like way,
Yeah.
like he like turns around and and points at the gun.
Yes,
Yeah.
shoot through if you need to.
And then he remembers that he has a comm, and he's like, oh, yeah, oh, thank you, yes.
Yes, it's easier to talk.
Attikus being unable to talk, having a comp bead, and hearing all this, just like seeing you give a thumbs up to the hidden sniper regeneration position, just like shaking his head, just like thinking to himself, do we really need a psycho?
We're doing what we can.
We will. So the motorcycles kind of go around. Once we're clear, we'll stop about 100 feet from Polar,
Sure.
well out of like charging distance to get down and start to walk towards him and just hear what the fuck he's saying with bikes off.
Yeah, you can, and Morgan, you probably hear this first since you climbed up. You can just hear him yelling, Inquisitor!
Oh.
And just over and over again as but like straining as he goes.
Yeah.
And Morgan, at this vantage point, you can see his legs are at angles that legs don't normally bend at.
And since she can hear before they're approached fully, she'll just come over and he's calling for you, Inquisitor.
Intriguing. The Inquisitor will launch Eugene next to him, just up into the air. Eugene's still lightly tied to his belt because he's not trusting this Lizzo Lizardman Trin Rakai situation, even though Trin's in his pocket. And he'll just say, Forrest Pollard, I am Inquisitor Lucius Valentyne. You are calling for me.
And there's not a sigh of relief because sigh sounds like polite, but like it finally took you long enough, Emperor's lapdog. Where are you?
I'm over here. Yes, the skull yell as we slowly approach. We're not getting within 60 feet of this guy.
No.
We're keeping some distance.
And he yells, face me, coward.
Did you summon me this far just to engage in some kind of ritualistic challenge?
If you won't assist me, then you must kill me. And we should do this the proper way.
What assistance are you hoping for?
I want my fucking nails back.
Interesting. What do you have to offer us?
Rage. Violence. This world is not one of ours. I do not know where we are. I do not know why we are here. I desire my pain back, and I desire the destruction of all of those who held me slave on that world, the king, the nobles, all of them, and then I wish to return to my people and to continue to spread pain and violence across the galaxy. But instead, I am here with crushed legs and spine.
Where is the seed?
It is with me.
Show it to me.
And he like reaches up inside himself and just like grunts as he pulls it out. And yeah, it's just it's a blackened chunk of, as we talked about, like sort of round ovalish piece, and it just kind of holds it up.
Valentine's just going to shift to his internal comms. He's obviously got Gideon and Attikus next to him. Opinions on how we should proceed?
Attikus raises hand, drops hand.
Yeah, it's a given. Valentine will not. Yes, I assume so.
And Morgan is just, I have a headshot lined up.
Mr. Vega?
He shows you the plasma gun.
I agree. His combat potential is limited. He cannot be trusted. And we've already achieved more than half of his goals. He's not entirely aware. Plus, we have the seed. Morgan, you have the shot. Put him down.
Morgan will take a shot.
All right.
So,
One that no one hears.
exactly. Nobody's close enough to hear. So I will do, and then this, and with this aim, I'm going to aim for cold shot for his head, which means it will bypass armor. Because if his head doesn't have
His
a
head is
helmet,
exposed, yeah.
his head explodes.
Yep.
And usually that would make 2 setback, but because I aim twice, it's 1 setback, and because I'm crack shot, it's no setback. So it's just straight shot. And what's the difficulty?
with let's say range 3.
Okay.
You get a setback for him being prone.
Mm-hmm.
Easier for melee, harder for shooting. You get a boost for the fact that he can't roll out of the way.
Right. He's not moving.
And then all your normal boosts.
That-
But
I-
I don't
that's what
really
I already
have.
took.
Yeah, okay. I don't really have much for this one, to be honest. You're lining up a sniper shot on a guy who is badly injured.
I think Space Marine's auto upgrade to a red. I don't know if he does with him being
yes,
so
yeah.
injured.
Yeah, that's true.
So
So
it'll be a red.
yeah, he has adversary 3. So all your purple are become red.
Oh, that's spicy.
Okay. How many story points do we have?
We have 2 and Tom has 3.
All right. I'm going to. Well, Attikus is there. So I will try to take this shot.
Yeah,
but-
we're 60 feet clear.
Yeah. Yeah. And yes, Attikus is down there with them. And at least I'll maybe be able to get a second shot if possible on this.
Right, and you don't need armor piercing because you're shooting cold shot
I'm shooting past his armor.
at a soft point. Yep.
All right, let's see. Ooh, 3 advantages.
Ooh.
No success.
So you exhale, fire the shot. Right, you're looking at a at a thing. Do you need me to hang on a
Well,
second?
it has crit 3.
But you need to succeed to activate crit 3.
Oh, force the target to drop what they're holding. If he's holding the seed, then that gets shot out of his hand.
Yeah.
Missed his head, but
Okay, yeah. So we'll say you open fire. Despite the silence and everything else, his head just kind of tilts slightly
That
at
makes
the
sense.
sound, and he, by instinct, raises his gauntlet up. So the shot blasts a chunk of his wrist and arm away, and without the appropriate tendons, his hand twitches and the seed pings off his shoulder and sort of rolls, sort of bounce again. It's like it is sort of circular, but it's still like rough hewn. This isn't like a soul stone or something. Bounces away, and he just doesn't even say anything. You just see him looking at his arm and looking up at you, and through the scope, just direct eye contact with you. He isn't making direct eye contact with you, but it's for
It
Morgan.
feels like it for Morgan, yeah.
Yeah. It's like he's looking directly, and dude says, "Inquisitor."
And the Inquisitor is just going to look to Attikus and look to Gideon and say, "We're going to move in and claim that seed. Mr. Vega, open fire when ready. Attikus, clean up whatever's left. I'll go for the seed."
Attikus signs with pleasure, sir.
Right. We'll walk forward at a comfortable pace. No rush, Mr. Vega. Take the shot when you're confident.
And Pilar just yells, "Angron, I come to you!" And his body just is like the armor starts to burn away. His face burns away with the plasma. Yeah, your shots are going wide. Like this is no beautiful kill shot. This is as the coils are heating up. And eventually Attikus just shoves you to basically sticks a finger through the trigger to prevent you from firing, hoists it up, pushes you away, walks over, and just pulps the head, and then reaches 2 fingers in around the throat and just rips it out. And just kind of paints it across his voice box, throws that away, and then proceeds to just beat the shit out of the body to make sure nothing, just systemically cracking joints, making sure that if there's some, because he doesn't fucking know, he knows these are the Emperor's angels. He's like, I don't know if he's got a head in his heart or whatever. So just
Valentine's not going to ask any questions. But Attikus needs this.
I think Gideon throws up.
yeah,
He's never seen anything like that before.
Valentine stands up with the seed.
Yeah, it weighs on him a little bit, and then he sees what's happening, and then I think he just chucks it.
Once Attikus gets into the armor, it's just reaching in and pulling out the heart. And
All right,
Marines have 2 hearts?
2.
Yeah, rips both of those out. And he's not he's not frenzied. This isn't berserk rage. This is just literally, I don't know what it takes to stop this thing permanently. So just
Valentine will stand up with the seed and say, "That's enough, Colonel. I believe he's been defeated."
shakes his, wipes his hand off on the armor.
Excellent shot, Mr. Vega. Very few people in this galaxy have successfully killed an Astartes. You now number among them.
And he is so pale, and he just is. Oh, thank you. And he wipes a gross stain of puke off the front of him, and he just is sort of nodding and again, I think he likes Attikus, but he doesn't see doesn't understand why you would be so methodical about that. So he just sees, and these moments of like kindness that get interspersed with these like indescribable violence that he can't predict, I think are so jarring for him. And he just is looking at Attikus the whole time as he just is like calmly scraping viscera off him. And he's just, okay, like...
Mr. Vega, you seem confused by what has just occurred. You're looking at Colonel Viss and his success. What troubles you?
So I think at this part, like he's got to be starting to get frustrated. But he knows, like I'm trying to reconcile the idea of like looking your executioner in the face and trying to like.
So what does he say?
Yeah, so I think he's like. So I think he collects himself a little bit, and you see it like flash across his face, and he goes, "Frustrated? You think I'm being frustrated? Well, I am very sorry, Inquisitor. This has been a very frustrating day for me. So you will excuse me if I am not as composed as the rest of you when something like this happens. This is not my strength. This is not a lot of fun for me. I am a little confused, and I am having a very bad day. So I am sorry if I do not look composed. But maybe you can give me just a little bit of time, and I will compose myself, and then we can continue."
I can offer you many things. Unfortunately, at this moment, time does not number among those things. What are your strengths, Mr. Vega? You said this was not your strengths. What are your strengths? Then perhaps I can utilize your skills more effectively.
When I was in Greybridge, my world was so nice. None of this existed to me. I did not see these things. My strengths are not on the battlefield. And now, in 3 hours, everything has changed. So no, I don't know. I don't know what my strengths are. But I'm trying to get it together. And I'm trying to figure it out. So no, Inquisitor, I do not know what my strengths are. But I'm seeing my weaknesses laid out in front of me every moment. And he like pauses for a second. And he rethinks what he's about to say. And then he goes,
"No, you can just say the thing you're thinking, Mr. Vega. You have my permission as an agent of the Inquisition. Enough the politics. If that is not going to serve you here, then perhaps it is time to be blunt."
I'm trying not to disappoint you, and I'm trying not to disappoint myself, and I appreciate that you are providing me a level of security that I might not deserve right now, but this, I just need some time to figure some things out.
What are those things?
I don't. What these flames, this planet, whatever that was. I don't know.
That was a
Attikus
fallen
shrugged.
That is Colonel Viss. The two of you successfully slaughtered a traitorous space marine.
You saw Greybridge. Do you know what the hardest thing that happened to me on Greybridge was? Nothing. Nothing was hard. Nothing happened. Everything was fine. It was boring, but it was fine. And I didn't like it then, but I would do anything to have it back right now. So I'm trying to calibrate, and I'm not there yet. And this is very strange, and this is very peculiar. And I appreciate your position. And I know this is a bad time. It's just a bad time. And why don't we just continue?
I think we need to explore these current issues, Gideon, because it seems like you are struggling with these moments and with this mission and with your own wants and desires. I am a very particular man. I know my wants, I know my desires, I know my needs, I know my strengths, I know my inefficiencies. If you do not know your strengths, that is deeply challenging. You have gifts. Obviously, the Emperor spared you. Several people were dropped, as we'd seen, from kilometers up to smash into this planet and leave nothing behind but a stain. You, instead, have found something more, and you have found the Inquisition in a way that no one else seemingly had even heard of our organization, which means your parents, your family, your house did something right in a way that the rest of your planet did not. It sounds like your deepest desire is to escape this madness and perhaps return to a life of peace, yes? To return to comfort.
Certainly. Compared to this, would you not want that?
No, absolutely not. I think that's frivolity.
I think he realized that as he was saying it. He might not, this is not his target audience.
Everyone likes a comfortable bed.
Yes, everyone likes a bathroom, like an indoor bathroom, right? Like that's a nice thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he catches himself when he kind of says that and then realizes the incongruity of like trying to explain anything that he's going through to somebody like you.
I understand that many people in this galaxy pursue lives of comfort. I've pursued a life of purpose. That is what gives me my own form of comfort. At the same time, there are certain harsh truths that, yes, you have been exposed to, some of them beyond your station by subsectors, some of them matching exactly. The problem with Greybridge was that comfort was a lie. It was being fueled by Xenos technology and ultimately a conspiracy that would have seen you all dead at the hands of orcs and other monsters. And it was a price that was paid for your life by the rest of the galaxy. Political favors, manipulations, thousands upon thousands of millions dying in brutal wars all across the galaxy so that you could live in comfort. This is undoubtedly a dark moment for you, a dark day, many revelations. One of them, the butcher's bill for the comfort that you've had up to this point, that you have not had to pay for until now. The bill has come due, Mr. Vega, for you and for your family. Unfortunately, it is you that must pay it. That is undeserved. But the Emperor has given you a currency with which to earn this place, to earn your beautiful past, and, at the end of this, to earn a beautiful future. Because I do not require agents to serve me unto death. Only the Emperor does that. If you can pursue a grand service, if you can demonstrate your value, if you can save the Emperor's life, I can wholeheartedly swear to you that I can put you into a position of luxury so much greater than Greybridge allowed. You can be comfortable, you can be safe, you can have purpose, and you can have friends in the Inquisition. We need to complete this mission, but I can give you something, and what you will have deep in your heart will be far more than you ever had on Greybridge, because you were bored with the luxury, because you had not risked to gain it. Right now, you need to gamble, Mr. Vega. You have a beautiful future, and I'm asking you to bet on yourself. You can have it all, if you can do this. I do not lie. Ask my fellows.
I think he surveys the Attikus and
I think Morgan will have driven up by this point. She's like bailed out of the truck. I'm like, I gotta get over there before fuck this. Yeah.
So I think he'll at least look at Attikus, and then if Morgan pulls up, and then I think he just kind of spits the last of the puke out of his mouth and wipes it off, and then nods and goes, "Okay, okay. You know what? Returning to luxury after something like this is not a possibility. That life, that part of me is dead now. And I'm mourning that loss along with many things. But the stability that comes from an arrangement like that is something that I find deeply appealing. And I think that's what we all might need right now. So I'm fine. I will continue. Unfrustrated for the time.
The one thing that's missing from this conversation that I have learned is very important to motivating agents who work alongside me is to know what they are fighting for, not merely what they are running from. What is your deepest desire? Valentyne is so focused on this moment. He's avoiding. He's not even noticing the demon world. There's a fucking dead space marine. To him, you two could be talking literally anywhere. His focus is fully on tuning it out and trying to narrow in because he knows internally he's like, I need Gideon Vega. I need this psyker, but he is not handling combat effectively. And we just shot a guy who had already fallen down. There is a space marine on the list that we could be dealing with in an hour. I got to figure out how this guy is ticking.
I think when you come into like, I don't know, any kind of like character creation, you kind of come in with like preconceived notions of motivations and stuff like that. And then as soon as this, like it started, I feel like everything kind of went off the table. Mm-hmm. So I feel like to come in with like, for Gideon to say anything back of like, what is he fighting for? He has no idea. This is like base animal survival right now. And this is like the first moment that he's had to like reconcile like even a little bit of like mourning or grief or loss or and then getting nitpicked a little bit too along the way of like, just do this, just shut up, just come here, don't do that, don't look at this. So having to like justify or explain himself right now, I don't think is like he doesn't have an answer for that. Like I don't think he like what would you want me to say?
I want you to tell me the truth.
But there is no truth. Nothing exists anymore for me. Everything has changed. I am on a mad planet with 3 strangers who I thought were very different people 3 hours ago. I am in a world that makes no sense to me with people I have just met with a gun and fire coming out of my face and eyes. So for right now, my motivation, what makes me excited is to not be here anymore. I would like to not be here anymore on this planet. Anywhere else. We want to go to Mars, I will go to Mars with you because it's not here. And you want to go to Terra and you want to see the Emperor who is dead, I'm learning. And
no, he's alive. He's just in the golden throne. You can't trust heretics. They say the Emperor's dead. They say a lot of things. None of it's true.
Then that is what I want. I want to go. I want to see the throne.
Okay. For the record, I want to save the Emperor. Yeah. I can't guarantee we're seeing the throne. That's kind of above my pay grade, but
wherever.
We'll see what is possible. The one thing I would suggest, yes, we can move forward with base survival. There is an opportunity in this moment that you may not be able to see right now, but is worth considering. At some point, we will need to rest. There is time for travel. There is time where we drive. There is time to think in these moments while still engaging with the environment. Survival is important. Survival is good. But at the same time, we are taking part in a mission and we have this information that we have been given that will be all of us. And without it, if we do not complete this mission, humanity dies. The stakes are those. If the 3 of us die, you need to complete this mission. The Emperor has chosen you to complete this mission. But that also means there is a bright future ahead of you. One where, in an opportunity given to almost no one, you can have whatever it is your heart desires most in this galaxy. Now that you've made these new revelations, that may have changed. You may not know who you are right now, but you have some time, perhaps a brief amount of time, perhaps more, to think about who the new you wants to be and how you want to spend your life. If we can keep the galaxy safe, if we can keep humanity alive, then that can be yours. Very few people are given a blank data slate to build a future. Mr. Vega, it is yours. I've also realized you've taken over your house. Would you prefer I call you Lord? Or what would you like your form of address to be?
No. No. This is fine. Gideon is fine. I appreciate that. That is the first thing in a long time that has made sense to me. And yes, I understand.
Excellent. Morgan, I can see you've joined us.
Yes, Inquisitor.
Any thoughts on our experience with Forest Pollard? Obviously, we've claimed the seed.
It was strange that his motivations were still to continue to angrily pillage, but I'm glad to see him destroyed.
Agreed. Excellent work, Colonel. He says Attikus, who is finished wiping gore off himself.
Salutes with the bloody hand.
Perfect. I believe it's time for our mission to continue, but We'll continue onwards in a moment. I need to check in with Trin Rakai to determine the exact purpose and usage of the seed. I'll leave you to speak among yourselves. Valentyne just stalks away, leaving Morgan.
Great.
Attikus just crosses his arms, like just takes a break, but he's not helping this.
Yeah, Morgan will go over to Gideon.
As you walk by, he just taps his throat and shrugs.
Yeah, thanks, Attikus, for nothing. Not that he'd be helpful.
She did all
Anything
the work of being a lord
Yes,
for a long
that
time.
is true.
He's earned a break.
He has earned a break. Yeah, she'll go back over to Gideon and just, I'm certain that was a lot, and if you don't wish to talk anymore, that is fine. You can take a moment while he continues, but I am here to listen if you wish to discuss anything.
I think he'd probably be a little talked out right now.
Absolutely.
I think he vented a little bit in a way that I think is as much as he'd be capable of right now without like rehashing anything. So I think he just kind of sits down and kind of puts the plasma gun, like the smoldering plasma gun, off to the side a little bit, and he just kind of like nods. It's fine. Thank you though.
She's just gonna keep eyes on him, but yeah, no. Again, it's like, oh, she feels like Valentyne went a little hard for her. Now she's got to fight back into.
I think he would just be like looking at the like mangled corpse of Forrest and just kind of like trying to desensitize himself a little bit to that.
Yeah, and then Morgan will be standing nearby, looking pretty open and chill, but she's actually in Toby vision, looking at, like, up as a bird, looking around to see where they need to go next, planning ahead.
Great.
Valentyne's plugging a stone into Lizzo Lizardman that he flips on. Trin Rakai.
Is this how it's going to be? You just turn me on and turn me off whenever you don't need me, like some kind of fucking light switch?
Yes. I've collected the seed. How does it function?
Oh, please don't call it that. This is a part of a web gate. It will not surprise you to know the world leaders are not particularly savvy in how the webway works. Mr. Pollard and his other compatriots believed that it was they considered it the seed from which they could grow access into the webways. They thought they could use it to develop their own gates. As I understand it from the many conversations I have overheard him muttering to himself through my, previously amusement servant, but now robotic prison, Lizzo Lizardman, it seems that he may have wanted to wage war on the Black Library itself. The world leaders sought either to gain information or to destroy information that was there. But as you know, with the collapse of the webways, it is somewhat out of reach to most. So this particular chaos monkey had been sent to find an ancient chaos webway on the planet's surface. Lucky for me, we already had the whole thing, but it was the king's father who suggested that we just tell him that we were missing a piece. So this seed is merely a piece of the gate. It will be useful to you in terms of operating. It makes my life a hell of a lot easier for opening the web gates that we will need in order to access things. But the portal itself is what mattered. This is merely the missing piece of it. Unfortunately, they can't function with missing pieces, so this was the last one. We told him that one of his compatriots probably had it, which is why he was so mad when that body came in without it, because he really thought that guy had it on him, and then he realized we'd been fucking with him for 2 lifetimes. So anyway, all that to say, you have a very useful piece of technology. They're a very valuable thing. I'm more tuned to this web gate than any of the ones we'll find on this planet. So chip off a piece of that one, plug this one in, and I'll have much faster access to getting us to the Black Library. But it does not have any mystical spiritual qualities. He was just a poor, misguided hammer in search of a nail.
Excellent. So we'll maintain control of this. I'll keep it with me to speed our travels, but at the same time, it won't draw any untoward attention on this planet.
It shouldn't, but then again, it's a chaos planet, so
Yes, we can't trust
anyone's
anything.
guess. May I ask, just while I'm conscious here, what has happened to dear King Frederick? Have you encountered him?
Declared excommunicat traitoris and executed.
Delightful. And what of Forrest Pollard?
Declared excommunicat traitoris and executed.
Well, you do have a brand, don't you?
I do my work and I do it well. Unplug. Trin Rakai stone back out.
What's funny is he's still conscious in the stone.
Yeah.
But he can't communicate, and he's just in a pocket.
Yeah.
So like, he doesn't know what's going on
The server's off,
outside.
but yeah, he's a pocket boy. Yeah.
And I think as Morgan is doing that, scouting ahead and just sort of standing there and being quiet for a moment, Morgan is trying to think how to talk to Gideon and how to make things, smooth things over for him. And she is put in a position of, she has never been able to empathize with someone to this level. And while she was sitting there trying to be like, okay, what kind of things can I lie to him about? Or what kind of things can I say that will like make him feel better? She's actually like, oh, wait. And she walks over to him. Gideon, a moment.
And he like snaps off a focus of the like mulched corpse and looks up.
I understand your position, even though it seems that I am unaffected by all of this. When I was a little child, I lived in a place of plenty and peace. And I had to learn the hard way that all of those things were also built on heresy. And it took a long time to understand that and find a new place in the world. But I have done that, and I believe that you have that in you as well.
He's trying to with the Inquisitor, I think he's trying to act like nothing is affecting him and that he's singular mission, but I think that kind of it hits him in a way where he's like his emotions are
he's going on
and he's going back and forth like fire and ice between the two of you. So I think he starts getting a little emotional. You see like one tear kind of as he like catches himself and tries to steady himself, and I think he just says, so what did you do?
I ran away again and again until I found something worth standing my ground for. And this is it.
And he looks around and I think looks at Attikus and at you, and then a little at the Inquisitor, like a little bit, and then kind of nods and goes, "Oh, you're right. I think this is it. There is nothing else."
This episode of the Valentyne Heresy features the voices of players Ryan LaPlante, Tyler Hewitt, Josh Halbot, and Del Borovic, alongside Game Master Tom McGee. This episode was edited and mixed by Laura Hamstra, and the Valentyne Heresy's artwork was created by Del Borovic at delborovic.com. That's DELBOROVIC.com. Our theme song is The Hordes by Megan McDuffie, and our ad breaks use the tracks No Control and Chiefs by Jazzar, JAHZZAR. All of their music is available at freemusicarchive.org. For all things Dum-Dums and Dice, including merchandise and how to join our Patreon, you can visit dumdumdice.com or find us on social media at dumdumdice. That's DUMBDICE. Ave Imperator, and death to all the heretics.
Dum-Dums and Dice has to give a special thank you to the supreme beings of our Patreon at this time: Christopher Little, George Dolby, Richard Cranium, Gavin and Abby McDonald, Logan, Fire Unfriendly, Grandma Likes D&D, Alan, Stabby Stranger, Glitch Trick, Flynn1138, Alarain Okapi, Schrodinger's Pepper, Madre de Gatos, Lady Maiden, Nithrian, Garbo Ape, Sam Schaefer, Waffle Marine, Dagger Rain, Rob L, Dia De Los Hoodless, Squishy Werewolf, Remy Funky Head, Accent Therapeutic Services in Florence, Kentucky, Lael, Shulzari, The Long Family, Jordan Oliver, Richard Wright, Brittany Fenwick, Alex Parr, Dragonfly, The Body Barrelers, Megan Werner, A Man Out of Time, Curtis at FingerTechRobotics.com, Panda24NN, Shendra D, Your Homeboy Bones, The Gata Family, Ellis Hatch, Odigenous, Beef Not Cheese, Kai Koa, Squire Solaire, Sandy Sassy Pants, Adam, Amira Lockhart, and Jill and Noel LaPlante. If you want your name to be added to this list, you can join our Patreon too at patreon.com/dumdumdice. Thanks to them, and a little bit of thanks to you.